Welcome back to Window Politics. Today we're going to be doing a U.S. Senate election prediction. We'll be going through each of these key states that have yet to be called, starting out with the likely red states. There's going to be a few of those. We will add the likely red rating, starting with the state of South Carolina. This state I feel very confident in calling for the Republicans. Generally, the state is in the safe margin, but in really good years for Democrats, sometimes it narrows up to likely, and 2026 is shaping up to be just that for Democrats, so I think it will go into the likely red margin. Next up, Montana, going to put that into the likely red. The state also generally in the safe red. It has elected Democratic governors and senators in the past, but I think that, like many states on this map, the political demographics have shifted, and I think that in the long run, Republicans will perform well in the state of Montana. I think this will remain a Republican seat, even though the incumbent is retiring, so that's going to be the call there. Next up, we have Florida. Didn't mean to classify Georgia as that. Florida is going to be, I would definitely call that in the Republican Party's category. The state, also, I kind of hinted at it with Montana, but many states that have previously been swing states have moved either to the left or right. In Florida's case, it's definitely been to the right. Even in big Democratic areas, metropolitan areas like Miami-Dade County even voted red on a couple of occasions in recent elections. So I think Democrats definitely need to come up with a better ground game for what to do in Florida, which is why I'm going to call the state and the seat for the Republicans. Next up, we have the state of, I think that might just be the end of the likely red. That looks like it is. So next up, we'll have the likely blue. There is going to not be too many of these, but we will start with the state of Minnesota. I'm going to put that into the likely blue column. There we go. Very long history of voting blue. We've seen quite a few protests and political advocacy in Minneapolis and St. Paul in the Minnesota area that really highlights its partisan lean, favoring the Democrats, and I don't think much will change. I think it will be a more secure, more significant margin for the Democrats in 2026 than it was in 2024. I think that will be the case for quite a few of these states. This is the Senate, mind you, but still on that election level. And then we're going to get to, I think that is going to be the end of the likely blue. Next up, we'll go to the lean red. We have the state of Nebraska and Iowa. I'm going to put both of those in the lean red column. For the state of Nebraska, as you can see here in the little purple ratings, the state does have an independent running, Dan Osborne, and he has gotten quite a bit of good news in recent weeks. The Democrat that won the Democratic primary in the state of Nebraska promised to drop out and endorse Dan Osborne, and I think that will be really just crucial to his campaign having any hope of winning. It is interesting. Generally, Iowa is much more of a swing state than Nebraska is, but for this interesting mix-up of candidates that have been selected, I'm going to go with lean red for both of those states. Democrats need to win 7 of the remaining 8 states left to be called in order to secure the presidency or secure the Senate majority. For Republicans, they only need to win 2 to get it to a 50-50 margin, with J.D. Vance being the tie-breaking vote. And next up, we're going to get to the lean blue states. There's going to be a couple of those, starting out with New Hampshire and Maine. These two New England states, more so, both are generally in the lean blue rating on the presidential level. The state of Maine actually, though, has a Republican senator, Susan Collins, who is the incumbent. She's running for re-election, and I think she stands a chance, but for now I'm going to go with the Democrats winning this seat. That's going to be the first flip of the prediction, and I think the next flip is going to follow closely with the state of North Carolina going blue. Roy Cooper is a great candidate Democrats put forward, and the incumbent Republican senator is retiring, so Republicans don't have incumbent advantage, which will benefit Democrats most likely, but that is going to be the call there in North Carolina. Next up, we have Georgia. I'm going to call that for the Democrat, Jon Ossoff. This state has kind of been the inverse of states like Florida, Ohio, and Florida, Iowa, and Montana, in that it used to be red and has since become more and more Democratic friendly. Kind of started out with Biden winning it in 2020, and then it elected 2 Democratic senators, and it had some strong election results for Democrats since 2024. In 2024, of course, the state went to Trump, but Democrats should be optimistic about their chances in Georgia, especially during the midterms. We're going to get to the states in the tilt margin. The rest of these will be in the tilt margin. We will start with a tilt blue state, that being Michigan. Michigan is a bit of an interesting case. Republicans have performed pretty well in the polling, which has been somewhat surprising. Generally, the state has a Democratic lean, but Republicans, I think, stand a real shot here, but for now, I'll keep it in the Democratic Party's column. But I do think really any of these tilt states could go one way or another, but that's going to be the call there for Michigan. Next up, we're going to get to a tilt red state, that being the state of Texas. Generally, this state is in the Republican Party's category. It is a very, very impressive feat by Democrats that they were able to narrow it from what is normally in the likely red column on the presidential level into a tilt red. Democrats have a strong candidate in James Talarico. He appeals well to moderate suburban voters, which are just going to be crucial to winning the state of Texas. And I think he will perform well, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I still think it will be a Republican victory. That is going to be the state of Texas. Next up, we have the state of Alaska. Alaska, I'm going to put into the tilt blue rating. Generally, the state on the presidential levels is in the rating in the likely, usually safe red column, but I think that Democrats put forward, I think she at the moment stands the best chance at securing this seat in the Senate and upsetting Dan Sullivan, the Republican incumbent. And then finally, we have the state of Ohio. Ohio really will be the state to decide control of the U.S. Senate. We can see here at the overall betting market odds, Republicans are favored by about 10%, and I think that is for a couple reasons. For one, Republicans only need to get to 50 seats instead of 51, but Democrats would need to win Ohio to get to 51, but at the moment I don't think that's the most likely situation, so I'm going to call Ohio for the Republicans. So that's going to be a 50-50 split, meaning that Republicans will maintain control of the Senate, at least for the rest of the Trump administration's term. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.